Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're diving into Noob Defense, you already know that one of the trickiest parts is picking the right noobs to take into battle. With so many units available, it can feel like a game of who do I bring along for the ride? It's easy to waste coins on the wrong noobs, so knowing which ones to use for each stage can really make a huge difference in how quickly you clear those levels. In this video, we're going to break down a Noob Defense tier list that will help you decide which noobs are worth your precious coins and which ones might need to be left behind for now. So, if you're tired of randomly choosing your noobs and hoping for the best, stick around. We'll take a closer look at the top tier noobs you'll want to invest in for each part of the game. Whether you're going in for speed, power, or a balanced team, we've got you covered. Let's jump in and see which noobs are worth your time and which ones are better left on the sidelines. Get ready to crush those stages and make your noob army unstoppable. I'm quickly moving on to the video and I'm ranking units in Noob Defense. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of tier list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching.
A very small portion of the audience is subscribed to the channel. Please don't forget to subscribe if you like these types of videos. Thanks.
The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right: King Noob, Swordsman Noob, Fighter Noob, Soldier Noob, and Noob. Alright, now that we've gotten through some of the stronger units in Noob Defense, let's dive into the D tier, where things get a little questionable. I'm talking about those units that might leave you scratching your head, wondering if they're really worth the investment. But hey, we all start somewhere, right? First up, let's talk about King Noob. Now don't get me wrong, King Noob has his uses. He's got a decent farming ability for the early game, which is nice when you're just starting out and need a bit of a boost. But once the game starts to ramp up and the real action happens, King Noob kind of fades into the background. He's just not that good in the current meta, and you'll quickly find yourself looking for something with more punch. Then there's the Swordsman Noob. This one's, well, let's just say it's got the whole low damage, low range vibe going on. You could probably use him to get through the early waves, but don't expect him to carry you through the tougher levels. He's the kind of unit that will have you asking, is that it? As he swings his sword with all the power of a wet noodle. Not exactly what you want when things get serious. Moving on to Fighter Noob, who, to be fair, isn't all bad. He's got decent damage per second, which is something, right? But his range is so tiny, you might as well be sending him in to punch the enemies in the face, because that's about all he can reach. He's one of those units that feels like it could be great with just a few tweaks. But alas, here we are with a unit that's barely able to do what you need him to. And last but definitely least, we have Soldier Noob. Now, I know what you're thinking, oh, this guy's gotta be good. He has decent range. And you're right, he does. But that's where the positives end. His damage per second is so low, it's like he's armed with a Nerf gun. If you're looking for a reliable defense unit, Soldier Noob is not the way to go. At the end of the day, he's just another meh choice in a sea of better options. So yeah, these are the units you'll probably want to avoid if you're aiming to actually win. Sure, they've got some use early on, but once the difficulty ramps up, they're more of a hindrance than a help. You can probably find better units to fill these spots, and trust me, you'll be glad you did. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right: Gunslinger Noob, Assassin Noob, Slammer Noob, and Pyromancer Noob. Alright, let's dive into the C tier units in Noob Defense. Now don't get me wrong, these units aren't completely useless, but they have a special place in the not quite good enough corner of the battlefield. They're not terrible, but they're not exactly making the highlight reel either. So let's break it down and see why they still show up, but maybe shouldn't be the stars of your defense squad. First up, we've got the Gunslinger. This unit can dish out some decent DPS and has a respectable range, making it a solid pick in the early stages of the game. It can handle smaller waves with ease, but once you get to those beefier enemies, it starts to struggle. The Gunslinger's main issue, it peaks early and doesn't have the lasting power to keep up in the later levels, so if you're planning on using it for the long haul, you might want to reconsider. Next, we have the Assassin. This one's all about single target DPS. If you've got a big bad boss coming your way, this is your guy. He'll make quick work of those high health targets. But here's the catch, his area of effect abilities are pretty small and his range is low, which means he struggles against large groups of enemies. It's great when you need precision, but it might leave you hanging if your enemies are swarming you from all directions. Then there's the Slammer. It's got decent DPS and it'll pack a punch when it hits, but man, the range on this guy is abysmal. He's great in close quarter situations, but you're going to have a hard time using him effectively if enemies are out of his reach. So, if you're looking to place a unit that will take care of everything from a distance, the Slammer is not your best bet. You need to put him right in the action, and even then, he might not always be the most reliable. Finally, let's talk about the Pyromancer. As a support unit, it has its uses, especially with those fiery explosions. However, its DPS is pretty low, which means it won't be the one you turn to when you need someone to hold the line. The Pyromancer's strengths lie more in helping your other units, but if you're hoping for it to be the hero of the battle, you'll likely be disappointed. It's more of a backup dancer than the main act. So there you have it, folks, the C tier units in Noob Defense. Good for some quick help in the early stages, but likely not going to carry you through the end game. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Hyper Laser Noob, Sniper Noob, Mafia Boss Noob, Laser Noob, and Katana Noob. Let's talk about the B tier units in Noob Defense. Now I know what you're thinking, B tier? That means they're not bad, right? And you're absolutely right. These units might not be the shining stars of the game, but they have their moments and can definitely hold their own in certain situations. So let's dive in and break down why these units still deserve your attention. First up, we have the Hyper Laser Noob. This unit is a damage machine, and the range on it? Chef's kiss. It's like the Swiss Army knife of your defense team, flexible and capable of dealing damage from a distance. If you're in the mood for some high-powered, long-range destruction, the Hyper Laser Noob has got you covered. The only thing to keep in mind is that while it's great, it's not always going to carry you in the later stages, but when it's good, it's really good. Next, let's chat about the Sniper Noob. This guy's got range for days. Seriously, he could probably shoot an enemy from across the map if it came down to it. The Sniper Noob shines in the early game, offering amazing coverage and some solid firepower. However, there's a little catches. His area of effects damage is pretty small, so you'll need to strategically place him to make sure he maximizes his potential. But for those first few waves, he's your early game MVP. Now let's move on to the Mafia Boss Noob. This one's a bit of a mixed bag. While his range and damage are decent, he's more of a jack of all trades, master of none type of unit. In the early to mid game, he can really hold his own, but as you progress, he starts to fall off. The Mafia Boss Noob isn't the unit you'll want to rely on when you're dealing with tougher enemies later on, but for the time being, he gets the job done. Plus, you've got to love the whole boss vibe he gives off. Very Don Corleone. Then we have the Laser Noob. Not to be confused with the Hyper Laser Noob, this unit also has great range and damage, but it's a little more consistent in the early game. It's not as flashy as the Hyper Laser Noob, but it definitely holds its own, especially in the early stages when you're still building up your defenses. The Laser Noob is a reliable workhorse that you can count on to keep things in check when enemies start flooding in. Last but not least, we've got the Katana Noob. This little guy is your classic early game hero. He's got decent damage per second, and while his range is a little on the small side, he more than makes up for it with his speed and the ability to cut through enemies up close. If you're in the thick of things early on and need a unit that's quick to deploy and can dish out some solid damage, the Katana Noob is your guy. Just don't expect him to be a game changer in the late game when the stakes get higher. So there you have it. The B tier units in Noob Defense may not be the top dogs, but they're definitely worth having in your lineup. If you play your cards right, they can still be the difference between victory and defeat. Keep these units in mind next time you're setting up your defenses, and you might just find yourself pleasantly surprised by their performance. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Gladiator Angel Noob, Fallen Devil Noob, Lifesaver Noob, Angel Noob, Devil Noob, and Samurai Noob. Alright folks, let's talk about some of the wildest, most chaotic, and yet surprisingly strategic units in Noob Defense. You know, the ones that might look a bit underwhelming at first, but totally surprise you when used in the right situation. I'm diving straight into it, so get comfy, because we're about to break down some of these units that have the potential to change the course of a game. Let's kick things off with the Gladiator Angel Noob. Now, don't let that noob tag fool you. This unit is a beast in the late game. It's the kind of unit you don't notice much in the early waves, but when the enemy forces start coming in hot, this Angel's got your back. Very short range though, so you'll need to position it well. It's a decent support unit, but definitely not someone you can rely on to be your main damage dealer. Still, it can really shine when the game goes the distance. Speaking of DPS, let's talk about the Fallen Devil Noob. This unit has insane damage output. We're talking some serious high DPS here. And what's even better, it has decent range, so it doesn't have to get too close to dish out that damage. But hold up, it's also pretty expensive to place down and upgrade. Plus, it has that short range thing going on, so you'll need to play smart with your positioning. Trust me though, if you can afford this unit, you won't regret it. It hits hard, and that's what counts. On the flip side, the Lifesaver Noob is a fantastic support unit. I mean, this one is all about keeping your other units alive longer. It's excellent at supporting, but here's the catch. It's not that useful in the early game. You need to survive the first few waves before this one really starts pulling its weight. but once it gets going, it can make a huge difference. It's one of those units that's just better suited for when things get tougher. Now, let's talk about the Angel Noob. This one's got the whole package. Good range, high DPS, and it buffs nearby units. So not only is it an awesome damage dealer, but it's also a team player. This is the kind of unit that you want to have in your corner when things get heated. It's great for clearing waves and helping other units do their thing with those buffs. If you're looking for something that can carry you through mid to late game, this is a solid choice. The Devil Noob is another one you'll want to keep an eye on. It has good DPS and range, but here's the thing, it has a small AoE. So, while it can hit hard and from a distance, it's not the best for clearing out huge groups of enemies all at once. Still, it's reliable and can do a lot of damage if positioned correctly. Just make sure you're not relying on it to wipe out an entire wave of enemies. And finally, we have the Samurai Noob. This one's a bit of a mixed bag. It has decent DPS and range, which is nice, but it's also a little expensive to place and upgrade. The cost might make you think twice, but it's still a solid unit, especially if you can afford it. It's not going to carry your team on its own, but it will definitely help you out when things start getting tricky. Plus, who doesn't want a samurai on their team? It just feels cool. So there you have it. Each of these units has its own strengths and weaknesses, and how you use them can really make or break your defense strategy. It's all about knowing when to place them, when to upgrade them, and how to make the most out of their unique abilities. Keep experimenting, and you'll find the perfect setup that works for you. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Sakura Samurai Noob, Bassist Noob, Rich Noob, Upgrade Engineer Noob, King of the Empire Noob, Fallen Angel Noob, and Engineer Noob. Alright, let's talk about the S tier units in Noob Defense, because honestly, if you're not using these bad boys, what are you even doing? These units are absolute game changers, but let me tell you, they come with their own pros and cons, so buckle up, it's about to get wild. First up, we've got Sakura Samurai Noob. This unit is a beast when it comes to dealing damage. I'm talking insane DPS, damage per second. Seriously, if you want a unit that just obliterates anything in its path, this is your guy. Not only does he have crazy damage potential, but his range is also pretty solid, so he can handle threats from a good distance. The downside? Well, let's just say it's a bit pricey to place. But hey, you get what you pay for, right? Sakura Samurai Noob is basically your powerhouse that will clear waves faster than you can say, I need a better strategy. Next, let's talk about the Bassist Noob. Now, this one's a bit different. Instead of just smashing through enemies, he's all about teamwork. This unit buffs the damage and cooldowns of nearby towers. Imagine having your entire defense boosted because of one guy. Sounds amazing, right? The only catch is, the Bassist Noob is pretty expensive, but if you're looking for a support unit that can elevate your whole strategy, he's definitely worth considering. If you're more of a farm first, win later kind of player, you'll want to check out the Rich Noob. This unit's an absolute machine when it comes to farming. It's great for building up your resources, which you can later use to invest in other powerful units. While Rich Noob doesn't offer the damage or range of some of the others, if you focus on a strategy that emphasizes having a strong economy, this guy will pay off in the long run. Moving on to Upgrade Engineer Noob. This unit is so good, you might forget it's a noob. Seriously, it's got all the qualities you'd want in a versatile unit. Great damage, decent range, and it's just overall solid. The real kicker is its ability to upgrade other towers, making it incredibly valuable in any strategy. Of course, with all this greatness, it does come at a higher cost to place, but it's more than worth the investment. Now, let's talk about King of the Empire Noob. If you want something that hits hard and hits fast, this is your guy. This unit has incredibly high DPS and a decent range, making it a perfect frontliner in your defense. The downside though, just like the other high damage units, it's pretty expensive to place. But once it's on the field, it will tear through anything that stands in its way. We can't forget the Fallen Angel Noob. This one's got some serious range and amazing damage potential, making it a perfect addition to any setup. It's like having a sniper in your army, just picking off enemies from far away. The Fallen Angel Noob doesn't come cheap though, so you'll need to be prepared to spend a bit. But trust me, if you can afford it, it's worth it. Finally, we've got the Engineer Noob. Think of this one as the Upgrade Engineer Noob's slightly less flashy cousin. It's still an all-around solid unit, offering decent damage and range. However, it's a little bit weaker compared to the Upgrade Engineer Noob. So while it's a great option for basic defense, if you're looking for the absolute best, you might want to look at the upgrade version. But hey, for the price, it's still a great pick if you're just starting out or working with a smaller budget. So that's the rundown of the S tier units in Noob Defense. Each one has its unique strengths, but at the end of the day, it's all about picking the right ones for your strategy. Whether you're going for raw damage, supporting your team, or building up your resources, there's something in this list that will help you dominate the battlefield. Just remember, they may be noobs, but they sure don't play like it. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.